Hello and welcome to the Wolves Report. I'm Ryan Leicester and thank you for joining us for episode 129. On this week's live show, we'll give you our match analysis and player analysis from Wolves' 3-0 win against Leicester City. We're going to talk about 6 in a row again, ole, take some of your questions and look ahead to Friday night's game against Manchester City. They say don't work with animals or children, but here I am again with Nocky and Tyler, giggling away, playing on the group chat, trying to put me off, as they do every single show. But here we are. Nocky, Tyler, thank you for joining us. Guys, what a weekend. I mean, it's all about Wolves, but it felt like every other result went our way, as we really wanted to as well, which was fantastic. But let's get straight down to business. Nocky, Wolverhampton Wanderers 3, Leicester City 0.
It was men against boys, wasn't it? It was so easy and you don't expect it to be. I mean, you're going into the game and you're thinking it's one we can win. We probably should win it, but there's always a little part of you, the little niggling in the back of your mind that it's a very much a Wolves thing to do to lose it. But I thought they were excellent. The first half was a bit of a non-event, really. There wasn't a great deal happen. We were the better side and we took the lead. But other than that, there wasn't a great deal in the game. But second half, I thought we took absolute control of the game. I mean, we were always in control, but we looked more dangerous in the second half. Matheus Cunha kept dropping into the pockets of space between midfield and defence, and he was absolutely unplayable. That's one of the best performances individually I've seen from a player at Wolves. We were solid in midfield. Defensively, we never really looked in trouble. And up front, we carried a consistent threat. The substitutes affected the game and made us even better going forward. We were dangerous from the wide positions. It was just an outstanding performance. It felt like a good Premier League side up against a Championship team in the FA Cup to me. It was so comfortable. I don't think I've ever felt more comfortable in the Premier League football match than I did in that game, even when they got the penalty, which, by the way, is never a penalty in a million years. But even when they got that, I didn't feel too worried about it. I thought even if they score it, I didn't believe they had a goal from open play in them. And I felt that we were probably in second gear at that point and we had more gears to go through. It was just a very comfortable afternoon's work. And you know, they're second from bottom for a reason, aren't they? They're not good enough to be in this division, but they were 5 points above us when Vitor took over. So to be where we are now and putting in performances like that and individual performances, you know, it was an excellent afternoon, and we scored 3 really good goals as well. And you look at the work of Rodrigo when he came on, we just look like we've got some quality all over the pitch now. So yeah, really enjoyable day, and you know, another double, fantastic result, and everything went for us.
Tyler, are we undervaluing the performance, or have we got to take into consideration how poor Leicester were? Because like with many teams will play under Vitor, we don't really give the opposition a chance to play. Granted, when they were pressed, they lacked quality. But as Nocky said, it really was men v boys.
I've seen Wolves lose enough of those games over the last 30 years to know that no game's a gimme, no game's a given. They've still got quality. You can still lose any game in this league if you're not up to it. And I thought the professionalism and on with Nokia, it was just comfortable, and the spine for me of the team is what I keep coming back to. And I thought again it was superb, but they are an inferior team to Wolves. But like I said, I've been to enough games where Wolves have gone in as favourites, and we've had our bellies tilted, haven't we? So I think it's nice to be able to go into a game, be confident, be the better team. And I think we were by far and get the result. And I think we sort of said last week, maybe 2-0, maybe 1-0, maybe. But to win 3-0, and it could have been more, couldn't it? I think the goals were brilliant, and I'm sure we'll come on to it later. But to answer your question, yeah, they're not a team that should be in this league. Without being too blunt, they're nowhere near it quality-wise, are they? Leicester, Southampton and Ipswich. We can talk about all 3 of them. But it was nice for high quality to show through. I want to talk about Cunha a bit later, I'm sure we will. But for some of our players, we've talked about it for the last few weeks, it was a bit too easy. And I think Agbadou, Cunha were in that bracket again for the Pope. But yeah, I think, like I said, we've been there and we've been favourites. So I think the fact we took the game so seriously, we played the best players we've got available. We won the game at a canter. There was a nice cameo for certain squad players. You know, it's borderline been the perfect weekend, hasn't it, with where we are, with like Mark said, with how the results have gone in the league. We couldn't have asked for much more than that. So, yeah, Leicester are a poor side, but we were ruthless, weren't we? And that's all we can ask for.
Lockie, just before we dig into the game, and I know we've talked about this privately and on the group chat, but what does it say about the gap between the Championship and the Premier League? Last season, Lockie, Leicester City, 97 points, goals for 89 with a plus 48 goal difference, romping away with the Championship. Ipswich Town in second place, 96 points with 92 goals. They scored 35 goal difference. What does this say about modern football when teams are performing that well in the Championship, yet they are cut off adrift and relegated with 4 games to go?
Yeah, I mean, there is clearly a gap, isn't there? But there's also been a Wolves that have come through and a Villa that have come through and Nottingham Forest who've come through and all ended up in Europe at some point. So there's been 6 really poor teams come up over the last couple of seasons who've gone down. I mean, Ipswich were on the crest of a wave. They probably went up a year or two too early coming from League One.
Yeah.
But they just came up on the crest of a wave and they had that momentum which took them up. But let's not forget, up till December, we were one of those 3 teams. We were in that mix. With Leicester were well clear of us. I think the difference is that some of us changed our managers and some of us got it right and some of us got it wrong. And then we were more organised and we managed to get ourselves away from danger. But clearly there is a difference in quality. I mean, I love Conor Coady to pieces, but should he be your main centre half in a Premier League side now? Probably not. And Jamie Vardy, 38 years old, you can't rely on him at this level. So there is a problem with financial fair play, which stops teams from really going for it. But I think if it happens again next year, it's a different conversation. But it's a very strong Premier League now. You can see by the top area of the pitch, you've got probably 3 outstanding teams and everybody else down to sort of just below mid-table are pretty similar. Anyone can make a push. And then there's probably 6 or 7 teams below that who are okay, but they're going to be better than what's coming up because it's a kind of established group of teams now. But if it happens again next year, then there's probably a bigger conversation. As I said, there's been Wolves, there's been Villa, there's been Forest. Teams have come up and made their way through. Bournemouth have done it as well. So it's not a closed shop. I just think we've had 6 really poor teams over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, I think that's a really fair point. Tyler, going back to the match, we kind of thought at Man United, although the application was there defensively and with the shape, there didn't seem to be as much desire going forward. Now, whether that was 2 teams playing the same system, cancelling each other out, but granted, Leicester are lower opposition, but the intensity from the off, the measured press, the aggression, how fast they moved the ball, it was night and day above Leicester, but it was Wolverhampton Wanderers were a thoroughly enjoyable experience on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, and what I really liked about it is that the 3 goals were quality. And I remember we've come in here the last couple of years and the final ball hasn't quite been right, or that's where we've lacked in that final third under certain managers. But I think the second and third goal for me were beautiful to watch because the assist for the goal on both of them was just perfect. It's not luck that Cunha's played those balls and the player hasn't had to break stride and finish. That, that's just quality. And the first goal as well was just quality, wasn't it? You're talking about the teams that are coming up and we're talking about having Andre, Gomez, Aït-Nouri, Cunha. They're too good for those teams. And the gap, I think the gap's enormous. I mean, I think Mark's been polite there. I think the gap's as big as it's ever been. If you look at that middle third of the Premier League, you've got Crystal Palace yesterday.
FA Cup finalists.
They absolutely smashed Villa 3-0. They were brilliant. You've got, we've been really, really bad this season, like really bad. And we're going to comfortably finish mid-table. I think the gap is, for me, is as big as it's ever been. And I think it'll be the same again next season. I just don't see how it's closed ultimately. But the passes for those goals for the second and third were just perfect. And, we were for a long time the 17th best team in the league, and we've got Brazil's centre midfield, Brazil's number 10, Norway's backup striker, Portugal's right back. You've got quality. You have got quality all over the pitch. We haven't always shown it because of potentially who's been in charge, but for me, the biggest thing for Saturday was the quality of the goals. I really enjoyed all three of them, and Leicester just didn't have any answers, and unfortunately for them. But they'll come back and be stronger. But for me, watching us was like I said, the second and third goals for me were brilliant, because I've criticised Wolves a lot for lacking of quality in the final third, but it was perfect in the second half yesterday.
I think one of the biggest differences for me as well is the tactical approach from some of the teams. I mean, we were so fluid yesterday. We had players moving all over the pitch. Cunha was in defence at one point. He was in midfield. He was pulling wide. He was dropping into them spaces. Larsen was dropping deep. We had the wing backs overlapping. Whereas you look at Leicester, and they were kind of regimented in the way they were playing. They had a very strict system with Vardy playing on his own up front, trying to keep two solid lines defensively and in midfield. And I think the promoted teams have kind of done that this year, and we were doing a very similar thing under O'Neill, whereas we brought in Vitor, who's now making us more fluid and more approach to the game. So yes, there is a huge gap. I completely agree with that. But I think it's also how the team's coached as well, because there is not a chance in hell with this team we'd have won 6 on the spin under O'Neill. It just wasn't feasible for us to do that. So there's coaching differences, there's quality in players, of course there is, but it's how you approach the game as well, which I think Wolves have found a system that works. And we've got quality players like Cunha, and he's going to walk into any team in this division and make them better, isn't he? So there are big differences, but I think it's probably a deeper conversation than just they're not quite good enough coming up. I think there's a lot to it.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things, I know we've sort of slid off track a little bit there, but the professionalism, the intensity, we know how good Wolves are on the ball, and the goals were on display as evidence for that. But Leicester did not get a chance to breathe. As soon as one of their players was half set facing his own goal, there was a measured press. Everyone was pouncing all over the place. We quickly recovered the ball, or we forced them to hoof it long, got possession back, started again. It was so enjoyable to watch from a tactical point of view without the ball. Now, that sounds like something that I probably wouldn't have said like 5, 10, 15 years ago, but to see it and appreciate it, a group of players that got Dick 5 at Brentford, were bullied at home to Ipswich. The boss has come in, give us a shape, give us a plan, give us a pattern. Wolves are stronger. We look mentally stronger and organised. Just to look now, like yesterday, as we saw, it looked like an established Premier League team against a newcomer that just wasn't good enough. So, yeah, off the ball knocky, for me, it was as good as I've seen us.
Yeah, we were outstanding. I mean, I'm a huge Andre fan in midfield, and I'm a huge João Gomez fan, but I've been making a conscious effort to watch Andre a little bit closer, and that guy's absolutely majestic. He's never in trouble. The way he reads the game and mops up all the time, he kind of identifies where the mistakes are going to happen, and he's in there and he's making defensive blocks. Alongside Gomez, you've got two really strong characters in that area, and you look at Aït-Nouri with the assists and goals he's got this season, and Semedo's solid the other side. We've just got very good players collectively now, and they've got a system that works. And if you're putting players in their best position and your system works for you, you're going to be effective, aren't you? And I think we spoke under O'Neill as well, and I think we were all very much under the impression that we just needed to be harder to beat. We just needed to get back to basics and start being a little bit more organised. And that's what Vitor's done. As I said last week, he's not reinvented the wheel. He's just stopped the silly mistakes that we were doing before. And he's playing players in the right position. And we're just a more difficult side to beat. And if you're going to get anything against Wolves now, you're going to have to really work for it. And that wasn't the case for the first few months of the season.
Absolutely. We just look, Tyler, like everyone's on the same page. Like when we had players out at Man United, the third choice goalkeeper came in, Santiago Bueno came in. People can drop out of the system and come back in. And yes, it wasn't very fluid at Man U. Wolves still won though. But it looks like even everyone in the squad, there's not like a particular 11 of it's them or we're going to struggle. Everyone seems to be on board with it. But
that has to be down to the manager, doesn't it? It has to be for me. And I'm keen to get your thoughts, but it's the same players. Bar Agbadou, realistically, it's the same players, isn't it? And I've always harped on about the players now in the Premier League, bar the bottom three, are probably all much of a muchness. That sort of 8th to 17th. There's not a lot in it, is there really? But I think if you have a proper manager, and I'm keen to get your thoughts, I might be wrong, but if you have a proper manager that comes in and knows what he's doing, it's a huge lift, isn't it? And these are the same players now that they like you said, Ryan, they press in a way that's organised. They know when to go, they know when to stay, they know when to, that for me is all down to management. I'm sorry, it is. And, you don't want to keep talking about O'Neill, but obviously he's probably making himself out to look a bit of a wally at the moment, isn't he, from what some of the comments he made. But we've said it about Villa and other teams. I think if you have a good manager, you're halfway there. The person and the players can sort of come in and do a job. And if they're coached properly and they're well drilled and they all know their role inside out, and we just look a team like that at the moment, back-to-back clean sheets, 7 goals in the last 2 home games. We just look like a well-drilled unit. And I'm giving all that credit to Pereira. I think he's brought on the players and, give him freedom of the city for me as far as I'm concerned, because I don't want to get carried away. But what he's done is remarkable. It really is. And that was a totally well-drilled textbook Premier League performance yesterday.
Absolutely.
Whether or not they're bottom or whether or not they're struggling, it's still 3-0 and it's still job done. And I can't speak highly enough of that performance yesterday, in my opinion.
Yeah, we'll talk about Vita on 6 in a row after we've gone through the game there. But yeah, I'm absolutely agree with you. Nocky, let's talk about the opening goal. Ryan Aït-Nouri gets the ball. There's a little exchange with Cunha. Aït-Nouri seems to find himself in acres of space, and he's picked out the perfect pass. But the pass is only matched by the finish. It was such a beautifully crisp goal. Little one touch. Leicester didn't know what to do. The pass was
that
perfect.
You or Leicester City?
Mate, I wouldn't talk about myself like that. I'll let you talk about my our bets if you want to share those later on in the show. But the ball was absolutely phenomenal from Aït-Nouri. Granted, the marking could have been better, but the way Cunha has finished that knocky, it was literally knife through butter football.
He's fizzed it at him as well. I mean, it's not a gentle pass across the floor. He's drilled it and he's put it through Coady's legs and across the keeper into the space. It's a fantastic goal. But I think we touched on it earlier, the way that Cunha was dropping into that space that was between the midfield and the defence. And that's where it started from. It's a lovely 1-2 with Aït-Nouri, good quick passing. And we hadn't done enough of that early on for me. We were a little bit static initially. We were a little bit hesitant in terms of trying to up the tempo, and that's all it needed really, was just to up the tempo a little bit, and they couldn't live with it. And it was great football down to the byline. Aït-Nouri drills it across, and it's a lovely finish. And I think, what's that for Aït-Nouri now? Is that 4 goals, 6 assists, something like that this season?
Yeah, I think he's in double figure. I think he's got 11 now. I think he's 11 goals and assists. I think.
I mean, that's an outstanding output for a wing back. So a great move, a great goal, and as soon as that one hit the net, you kind of felt, not the pressure, but you felt a lot more comfortable at that point, and you could only see what was going on to get more goals.
The second goal, Tyler. I mean, we've had 3 goals in the game, and they're all, for me, beautiful in their own ways. But this, for me, the through ball for this, the precision of that ball from Cunha was fantastic. But for me, Strand Larsen's first touch completely in his path set him. It was like bang bang again, knife through butter. So I mean, Strand Larsen was delighted with the goal. You expect the kind of quality from Cunha. That's why Wolves are going to sell him for a lot of money. But again, it's such an aesthetically pleasing goal from Wolves.
Yeah, it was. It really was. And we've been talking a lot over the last 12, 18 months about, we lack it in the final third, or it's not quite right. Is that a coach? It's not luck. The pass was perfect. And the pass for the third goal was perfect. They were just brilliant goals. All 3 of them were. But he just missed a sitter, and I don't know for the life of me how he missed that sitter. But
he did make fun of himself in the celebration. Was quite funny as well.
That's what you want to see, isn't it? A bit of character, a bit of personality, and that's what you want to see. But yeah, like I said, I keep saying they were perfect. I thought it was a perfect goal. The pass, the touch, the finish. I think some of the people have likened him a little bit to Bully, haven't they, with sort of pre-season and some of his finishes. But that was a bit like it. It was just first touch, bang, goal.
Really good
See you later. On to the next one. I'm not worried about my miss. I've taken my next chance. And you said a few months ago, you'll worry when he starts missing the chances if he's not in the right positions. But he keeps putting himself...
I worry when they don't get chances.
He keeps putting himself in the right positions to score goals, and there's 4 games left, another couple of goals. It's going to be some decent season for him, isn't it? And I still think there's a lot of room for improvement for him. He's not the finished article, but if he was, he wouldn't be playing for us, he'd be playing for someone else. So he's got the raw attributes Strand Larsen has to be a top striker at this level. And I thought he took the goal really well, and he could have had 2 or 3 on another day.
Yeah, fantastic goal. And Nocky, the third one was probably my favourite goal. I think I got this right. Sarabia's pass, the way he's threaded that, I think that was for
Sarabia
the
was
goal.
that, lads. Sarabia,
yeah.
All right,
yeah. Tyler's got his Sarabia tattoo booked in for on Tuesday if his wife lets him get the tattoo. That ball, Nocky, though, Sarabia plays him in. It's wonderful. And then I'm thinking at this point, Cunha just run at Coady. He drops a little lollipop in. Rodrigo's run somewhere in the North Bank car park to get on the end of that. It's such a good goal. And this is why it's good to have a variety of wing-backs, because you've got a lad like Rodrigo who's capable of joining attacks like that. The engine on that kid is phenomenal. And for me, that's my favourite goal. The Sarabia quality, put him in. Cunha slowing things down, little lollipop next to Coady, draws him in, feeds Rodrigo, bang, 3-0. It's a perfect way to end the game.
Yeah, it was my favourite goal of the game as well, just because of the energy and the passing. And the ball from Sarabia is just absolutely inch perfect. And Gomez had missed one of them just before as well. He'd gone through and pretty much making the same run, and he fired it wide. But he went again, and his pace to get up with Cunha was pretty good. He left a couple of Leicester defenders in his wake, and he's finished it really well. But I think you've got to give credit to Cunha as well, because it would have been really easy for him to attack Coady, take him on the outside and try a left-footed strike. And that's where maybe some of my frustrations with Cunha are, is that we know he's going to move. He's going to get that move anyway, because that's the kind of quality he's got. So I think if he had maybe kept his mouth shut a little bit, or maybe not listened to some of the people talking to him, we'd be waving him off with a big thank you, because those are the kind of moments that guy's capable of giving you. But it was an excellent move, and Leicester just couldn't live with us, and they got caught out probably 3 or 4 times with that exact same ball, and they didn't learn from it at any point, because we kept dropping into that space and we kept feeding it diagonally through the line of defence, and they couldn't cope with it. But Rodrigo's finished it well. He looks a proper player. He does. There's a really good player there, and he was delighted as well. It's lovely to see a footballer really enjoy scoring a goal, and you could see how much that meant to him, and it was great. He rounded it off nicely, and 3 big points.
Another big talking point in the game, Tyler, was Leicester's penalty. Now, I sit in the North Bank. I know you guys we all sit in different stands for safety purposes, not by choice. I just. At the time, I said that I don't think that's a penalty. Now, I understand that some pundits and some media outlets will call it clever. I call it something completely different. So I just don't understand what's the point of VAR when you're not overruling that. Now, people may think different on the comments. Please jump in and tell me otherwise. But yes, he's gone around the keeper. That's fine. But he's then kicked Jose Sarr, as far as I can see. Yeah, he's kicked him and then gone down. He's manufactured that. He hasn't run into him. He's actually got a leg and kicked him and thrown himself down. I don't understand how that's a penalty. Can someone explain?
Cheating. It's a strong word, Ryan, but it's cheating. There's no other explanation. It's a free kick to Wolves. Vardy's kicked our goalkeeper and fell over. I've seen the Bournemouth Man U game today, and I'm just like, I don't know where we go anymore.
Oh, well, I was even that a red card.
This is what I mean. I've not played the game at a high level, but we've all played your Saturday, your Sunday mornings, and you only have to play the game at a very basic level to realise what is and what isn't a foul. Vardy's kicked Sarr and dived. Should be a free kick to Wolves and the yellow card. Evan Nilsson today has slipped over. Can't do anything about it. Hit the Man U player and get sent off. I mean, I used to think it was corruption, Ryan, but now I'm convinced it is just plain stupidity. These referees have not got a clue what they're doing, and we say it week in, week out, and it's boring. And you're talking about the best league in the world with the best players, all the money, and we're still talking about it, and it's painful. But focusing on yesterday, never a penalty, should have been overturned, should have been a booking to Vardy. But like Nocky said, it was quite nice that he missed it, wasn't it? Let's be honest. But
absolutely. Just jumping in with an early question, Nocky. Stephen Cross asks, is what Jamie Vardy did yesterday cheating? And if so, why don't the authorities instruct the refs VAR to overturn such incidents? And Nocky, I generally don't think They know what they're doing with VAR. Now, this isn't a surprise, and it's not something we talked about, yeah. But this determination to go, or we're trying to stick with the on-field decision. Well, don't have VAR then. If you're going to do that, right? Is it a foul? Yes or no? Did they cheat? Yes or no?
But on that quote, Ryan, they flipped the Man City penalty when he'd won the ball. So this is what I mean. There's no the City Villa one. Diaz wins the ball. The guy goes over, and they've overturned it. Nobody knows what's going on anymore.
Nocky, your take on that question?
Yeah, it's absolutely cheating. But the problem we've got now is that they'll look at it in super slow-mo. And if there's any kind of contact, they give it. And you just want a ref to be brave, don't you? You want a ref to say, all right, if you think that's the wrong decision, I'll go and have a look at it. And then have the convictions to say, actually, no, you can see he's thrown his leg at it. It's not a penalty. I'm not going to give it. And, when you look at Match of the Day, they only showed it from one angle. And it was the angle that made it look like a penalty. So it's just ridiculous. It's never been a penalty in a million years. He throws his leg at him. It's impact onto the goalkeeper. Sarr pulls away. You can see by the replay. Sarr comes out of the way. The only contact is initiated by Vardy, but they fall for it every time.
How do you explain? I know it's different, but how do you explain the one today then? How do you explain that one today for Bournemouth?
Inept. They're inept. I mean, he goes and looks at it on the monitor.
But he's being told
he's clearly slipped over. There's no malice. Yeah. Granted, the one today against Bournemouth, for anyone that's not seen it, Bournemouth and Man United, the Man United player's gone over to make the challenge, but he's slipped, and as a result, his foot's gone high. I don't think there's any malice. I think it's a foul, maybe a yellow card, but it's completely accidental. So
it's robotic. It's a robotic decision because he's took the human element out of it. If you put the human element in, you can see he's slipped. His own momentum has kicked his leg in the air. He's gone by the rule book, which says his leg is in a dangerous position and could have impacted the player. That's why he sent him off. You've got to have some common sense in this. It can't just be black and white. You've got to be able to look at it and say, well, you can clearly see he's slipped. He's not tried to do him. He's fell. As he's fell, his leg's gone in the air, which has nearly impacted him. But referees are so poor at the moment.
Even when his leg's gone in the air, it's not gone with that force. It's not gone with that, clinical, I'm trying to break
it's
your
glanced,
leg.
hasn't it? It's glanced off his leg at best. But VAR should never be reviewing that. They should never be looking at that and saying, you need to go and have a look at this. You've got it wrong. Because it's anyone with a brain cell, even if you had never played football, if you'd never even watched football and you saw that, you'd know when there's intent to do someone, when someone's just slipped over. So it sums up the whole
so
system.
Just pulling it back into Wolves, guys, what's got to happen then? Because you are being encouraged to play the dark arts, because if you can offer enough theatrics to the officials to convince them, they're going to give you a penalty. So you're encouraging cheating. Yeah. You're encouraging doing the wrong thing when everybody, what some Leicester fans may say, oh, it's a pen, but it's clear as day. He's dragged his leg onto the player, and you can Sarr is absolutely raging, and rightly so. I know he's bonkers anyway, but what I would say is that we did get the joy of Sarr saving that penalty, and Vardy's given Wolves enough pain over the years. So to get one back on Vardy, being an amazing Premier League striker, but for him to miss a penalty after throwing himself down and getting spanked and getting relegated, have some of that.
Yeah, it's perfect because the guy's a little rat, isn't he? Let's be honest. He's an horrible little fungus, that kid is. So
for any rats listening to the show, I hope you aren't offended.
I've got no issue at all with the fact that they gave it, because his last visit to Molineux is going to be him missing a penalty, and that's absolutely beautiful. But we shouldn't be in this position because referees should be getting decisions right, and they're just not capable of doing that at the moment. And in terms of what you say, how do we make it better? We don't. We had a vote. It was 19-1, so nothing's going to change.
Absolutely. Steve Cross, thank you for your question on this week's Wolves Report. You are listening and watching episode 129 of the Wolves Report, the latest live show with Mark Knott, Chris Tyler and myself, Ryan Leicester. Well, let's go through the teams. Now, we'll start off with Jose Sarr, Tyler. Now, anything else but a 9 or a 10 is unacceptable. In the first half, he sent Vardy to the shops. In the second half, he saved Vardy's penalty, and he shouted at Vardy as well. But other than that, what did he really have to do?
Gave a penalty away.
I think you could have played in goal yesterday, Ryan, to be honest. And his moment was the save, wasn't it? But he didn't have a lot to do, did he? And but again, like we've talked about the last few weeks, what he did well. And is that local judgment? Is that a calmer coaching environment? Who knows? But whatever he's done, he just seems to have calmed down a little bit. And like I said, everything he did well. So the save was good, but it was a poor penalty, wasn't it? I'll give him a 7 just to annoy you because you said it should be 8 or 9.
Well, he skinned him in the first half. He saved the penalty and got a clean sheet in a Premier League game.
He still keeps kicking the ball out of play for absolutely no reason.
Well, you know what? He just does that to annoy you.
Apart from that, he's sound, yeah.
That's the game. Nocky, moving on to the back three. I was really pleased to see Matt Doherty come back in. That's not disrespect to Santiago Bueno, but we talked about Matt Doherty being an experiment at right centre-back a couple of months ago. He's come in now, and that's his position, and he's ahead of a £15 million signing De Giga there. He's ahead of Bueno, that's been in and out of the Uruguay squad. So credit to Matt Doherty. He's come back in. It just works. It just seemed to work with him. And obviously him, Agbadou, Totti, another clean sheet. Your take on the back three?
Very easy for him, wasn't it? I don't think they were really tested. The only one time we kind of switched off for a second is when Vardy got in behind and won the penalty. But he's a player who's done that his whole career. He plays on the shoulder, he looks for the space and then runs around you. So you can kind of forgive that. I thought Agbadou was excellent. I thought Totti, he's better and better every game. He looks like he's much more comfortable with Agbadou, and Doherty's just a perfect professional on that side. So I can't criticise them at all. It was a very comfortable afternoon's work for them. I don't remember them doing anything particularly erratic. Totti maybe had a 10-minute spell where he was slightly bizarre at times, but all in all, it was an excellent performance. It's 8s across the board for me.
Yeah, I think so. And again, like the recent home games, the goal, the few opportunities that we conceded were of that. It felt like our own doing, like a little bit sloppy. We weren't being cut open with any fantastic football because no matter what you say, Vardy, I know he's a tricky character. He's a bit older and slower now, but the way he was dealt with throughout that game and we restricted them, he looked like a frustrated man. Yeah,
I think Tyler's touched on it before. It's very easy for Agbadou, and it's probably a little bit too easy for him at times, and he maybe switches off. But they were just very, very controlled. I mean, Vardy's still a good player. He can still finish, but he's lost that initial burst of pace, hasn't he? And there was a couple of times he got away and Agbadou just ate him up and come and took the ball off him. Agbadou's a top draw centre half, and I think the sky's the limit for him. And Totti's improving with him, and I think with Doherty, it's just the three of them work really well. I think we touched on it last week that Semedo's a better player with Doherty playing behind him, so it works perfectly across the board at the minute, and there's no reason to change it for me.
Absolutely, Tyler. Moving on to the wing backs, for me, a very solid Nelson Semedo performance. With a bit of fancy footwork and even a nutmeg thrown in there in the first half as well, I believe. Or sorry, the second half, which was quite nice. Or was that the first? Either way, he got a nutmeg in, that was quite nice. Yeah. And Ait-Nouri at his best, punishing a team that gave him plenty of opportunity and didn't really get particularly close to him.
Well, yeah, I think you've probably said everything I need to say. Solid from Semedo again. I think I'd still like to see a little bit more offensively, I think, from him. Like we said, how many was that? 11 goal contributions for Ait-Nouri. How many Semedo got this season? And I know they're not the same player, and I know they're different, but I think it would be nice to get potentially some more offensive output from him, but solid as a rock, and he came into centre midfield sometimes, and he's always an option at right wing back, and who knows, is he going to stay, is he going to go? I'm sure we'll have more conversations about that before the season closes, but Ait-Nouri was a joy, wasn't he, in those games where he has a bit of freedom. I think he's a bit in that Agbadou ilk where I think sometimes he finds the game a bit too easy and he gets a bit bored and he starts looking at inside and doing his step overs, and I thought that was a really good performance from him. And 11 goal contributions for, let's be honest, what has been a pretty crap team for most of the season. They're good numbers, aren't they? And there's rumours some think he'll go. I know you think he'll probably leave Ryan and some don't necessarily, but numbers like that in a team as average as we are, they're very good. Very, very good. And you think people are going to be sniffing around, wouldn't you? But he's one of them. The sky's his limit. It's a bit like Cunha. He can go wherever he wants and do whatever he wants if he wants to. The only thing that will stop him doing it is himself, ultimately, because he's that good.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see who our wing backs are come August, this first game of the season. But thoroughly enjoyed both of them yesterday. I think 8 for Aït-Nouri and 7 for Semedo.
Yeah, fair. They were excellent and hardly tested. Defensively, hardly put a foot wrong. Something I did miss, Wolf Aid puts it up here and reminds us, what about Agbo's shot? Guys, if that goes in, there's no point going anymore. Agbadou now, he's our cultured centre-back that bullies everybody. He's fast, he's strong, he's both-footed, and now he's shooting from his own half. What a player we have. I mean, imagine having the audacity to have a little look and then do that from there. Incredible.
Ryan, quick question. Who was it that wrote him off after his first game?
I can't remember, mate. It was a guest podcast for Bristol City.
I'm sorry.
We've had that conversation 2 weeks ago. You need some new material, kid.
Nocky, moving on to the centre midfield warriors, bodyguards, hitmen, whatever you want to call them. No one's passing them, Pat. Andre and João Gomes.
They're just sensational. I mean, I said last week I didn't really know what to say about them, and nothing's really changed for this week. They're so good, so cultured. And I think, for me, the last couple of weeks, I think Andre's outshining Gomes a little bit with the way that he's playing, and he's so controlled, and the way he moves across the pitch, the way he gets himself out of trouble. He never looks in danger. He's always aware of what's around him. He just moves into sensible positions. He's got almost a striker's instinct in terms of he knows where the danger's going to be, because he'll see a mistake coming and he'll be behind and he'll be covering and he'll sweep up and he'll get rid of the ball. And Gomes just seems more and more confident all the time. He's getting a little bit further forward for us. And they're both absolutely top class players. And probably the biggest compliment you can give them is, I don't remember the last time we lost a midfield battle. And you feel like we're going into every game and we're going to win the midfield battle every time. And when you've got those two sitting in front of Agbadou and Totti and Doherty, it's no wonder the goals against columns coming down, because we've got such a screen in front of Jose Sarr now. And they're just two absolute quality players, aren't they? I mean, that we speak about Aït-Nouri and Cunha going where they want. I think Gomes and Andre go in that category as well, because 100%. I think they make any team in this division better. And I include Man City and Liverpool in that as well, because they've got so much control in their play and they're so disciplined and they know exactly what they're doing now. And you had João Gomes picking up bookings for fun a few months ago, and now he just seems to stem that tide as well. And when Andre gets booked, you're not too worried about him getting a second yellow card, even though he plays at such a high intensity. They're just fantastic footballers, and I think that they're a couple of players you've got to enjoy while we've got them.
Do you? You probably know. As I've been quite critical about their offensive output, do you think that's the only thing that stops them being the level above?
Yeah, it's a really, really good point. But I think in this system, that's not overly important, because if you've got 2 number 10s and a striker, there's 3 goal threats, and you've got what Aït-Nouri's doing. If you've got another right wing back that does what Aït-Nouri does, that's a lot. And I think Wolves will start scoring more from set plays, particularly with Agbadou. If there's more the centre backs we've got, they're stronger, aren't they? We probably should be scoring more from set plays. But it is a really good point. João Gomes pops up now and again. But with the system and the way we play, I'm not really overly bothered if he played in like a 4-4-2 or something like that. But because their job is just to sit and protect, and then you can have literally 2 wingers, 2 10s in there. That's 5 going forward. So is that the difference between them and being £100 million player? It probably is. But I think in our team and our system, it doesn't really make a lot of difference, particularly with Andre, because he's just there to tidy up, win, bully people, and make us gasp, because he is an incredible footballer.
I don't think it's an issue for me at all. I mean, you said it yourself, Tyler, that's 7 goals in 2 games. They're not there to do that job. They're there to stop it coming the other way and then start building those attacks. And when you've got players like Cunha, Aït-Nouri, Semedo, Strand Larsen dropping into that space ahead of them, you don't really want them going too far upfield, because if they do, there's a risk that we're going to leave holes in midfield. And we've seen it a couple of times when we've taken one of them off. We start finding gaps in midfield, especially if we're not bringing Bellegarde into that space. So I think Gomes is capable of more goals. I think the system we play dictates that he doesn't really need to, which is why he sits where he is. But I'd agree, you'd like more output from them.
I don't think
it's
from
necessary.
our perspective yet. I mean, from them two as players. I mean, Andre, I think he's an absolute joke of a footballer, but he's not close to getting a goal or an assist, is he? Let's be honest.
No, he's not.
But he's in that Makalele. I mean, in that Makalele position where that's not your job. Your job is to protect your centre backs. Yeah, win it, distribute, keep the ball, win it, and that's what he does. He's not there.
Well, I'd say we've got two that do that, Ryan. That's my only point. I'd say at the moment we've got two that probably do that. I agree with you. Kante, Makalele, he does that role perfectly. For us to get to the next level of being a top 10 side, do we need a little bit more offensively from one of them two?
I think that these boys are going to take us to 8th next season, so that it's going to be okay, Tyler. It's all going to be okay.
I'll have to lose that bet to you as well, mate. No problem.
No problem at all. We'll have some of that as well. Tyler can share on social media about our bets this season. Lovely jubbly. Moving on to the number 10s, Nocky. We have...
You call it Marshall a number 10, are you?
We'll talk about the advanced midfielders. The absolute physical specimen machine that is Manetzi. I think this wasn't a great game for him, Nocky, but Wolves have won 3-0 and they've dominated the game. I'm not often critical about him, but I think he was a little bit off with his distribution. I know he's not particularly the most gifted footballer, but again, he played his part. And since his inclusion in the team, Wolves are winning football games. So obviously the manager, of course, knows way more than I will ever know about football. With Marshall, it's working.
Yeah, I still don't know what he does, and I mean that with all the respect in the world. But he seems to be absolutely everywhere without ever touching the ball. But I think he probably had more of the ball this week than he probably has in any other game. He was a little bit more involved, and he was a little bit closer to the two midfielders. He's such a strange player. He's probably the most difficult player to describe I've ever seen at Wolves, because you don't really see the impact from him, but there's not a chance in hell you win 6 in a row if you are carrying a passenger. So he's effective in what he does. And I think what he's very good at is making those runs to create space. And he's a little bit closer to Strand Larsen, and he pulls people away a little bit more. And he just keeps going, doesn't he? And there was one, I think it was in the second half, and the ball was running out clearly for a goal kick. He just runs and runs and runs, and he gets there.
Out for a throw,
It's out for a throw in, and his energy there is infectious. So he's effective in what he does. I'm just not 100% sure what he does, but whatever it is, he's working.
Wolves fans, I mean, all football fans love a trier, and that Steve Ball never die attitude, obviously different kind of things, but that not giving up on any lost cause whatsoever and giving absolutely everything has set the standard for the rest of the players. I think he's made Strand Larsen better. I think he makes Wolves better. Does he make us play prettier football? No. Does he help create opportunities and an easy opposition? Absolutely. As you say, not many teams win 6 out of 6 in the Premier League. As it stands, Wolves are the top informed team in Europe's top leagues. It's ridiculous. And Marshall's played his part. So,
but the thing is, though, I mean, so I didn't mean to cut you off then. You look at Sarabia, who will be playing in a similar kind of place. He comes on and he's affected the game every single time he comes on, but he's not starting over Manetzi. And there's obviously there's some impact he's got with his energy and his tempo, because Sarabia is a better all-round player.
Talent-wise, it's night and day. But the difference is, Sarabia isn't going to cover half the grounds that he can cover. No. And for whatever reason, the way we play, it's just suiting that. And the manager's identified something in the team that he wanted, and where's that attitude, that relentlessness, that never say die, and it sets the tempo for everybody else. So, do you know what?
Does he get in any top 10 team at the moment?
He will next season if he's at Wolves.
But tongue in cheek, it's like me and Toty, and I had that chat last season with him. What other team does he get in? And I can't say I love him, because you know me, I'm a purist. I like someone who can actually trap the ball and then pass it 5 yards. But you can't deny the impact he's had on the team and the players around him. But how sustainable is that? Because if you're talking about getting 8th, 7th, 6th next season, if that's where you want to get to, he's nowhere near the side, is he? If that's what you're talking about, he doesn't get. Their front three can all do bits. He can't. He can't do bits.
We've just won 6 on the bounce. We've dispatched.
But we played the bottom. I'm not discounting it, but we played the bottom 6 in the league. You know as well as I do, we're going to have a patch where it's going to not go as well as it is now.
Of course,
you carry a player like him in the team if you want to get into the top 7 or 8?
But you know what, though? We'll have to find out, because if this carries on, he's going to be around, isn't he?
No, but answer the question. Like, we're here to give opinions.
I honestly
do you think he gets in any team in the top 7 or 8 of the league? He doesn't, does he? He's nowhere near it.
In terms of individual football talent, probably not. But with the way what Wolves do, it just suits us, doesn't it? So we're using him for his best attributes, which are being relentless off the ball to create chaos and to press as a team. So does that work the same at Crystal Palace? Probably not. But at the moment, it works well for Wolverhampton Wanderers, and it works well for Strand Larsen and Cunha, who with his inclusion in the team have played better games. So yeah, a difficult one, but an interesting debate. Moving on to Cunha, Nocky. I mean, I'm not very happy with him still, and there's lots of things we said. What I really did like was the housery from the South Bank singing "Who They Are Man United" throughout the game, and obviously that was Andy's way. Whether he understood that, I don't know, but it was funny. But my God, what a performance from him yesterday!
Yeah, I said earlier, I think it's one of the best, if not the best, individual attacking performance I've seen from a Wolves player. Everything went through him. He made us tick. He was relentless with his energy. The through balls he put in, 2 goals and an assist. I can't find a fault with anything he did. And if he wants to leave the club, fine. But you need to do your talking on the pitch, and he's absolutely done that for us in the last few games because he's contributing. He was just outstanding. I was watching him. I was in awe of what he did, and I'm just going to enjoy him for the last 4 games, whichever whatever ends up happening with him. You don't get too many Matheus Cunhas come along, so I'm just going to enjoy him for the last 4 games and just enjoy having such a top quality player who can occupy so much of the pitch and be so effective. I mean, he was just everywhere, wasn't he? He wasn't holding the attacking line. He was coming back inside. He was finding that space.
Impossible to pick up because he didn't have a position.
Yeah.
It was go where you want, chaos, turn, run. It was
just dominant.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the finish, the way he's opened his body after Wayne Norrie zipped at him, the through ball he's fed in to Strand Larsen is phenomenal, and then he's dropped the lollipop on Coady and fed Rodrigo in. It's just, it's such a good performance. But I've got to hold my hands up. Earlier on in the game when he went on those runs, I was cursing, well, why aren't you passing? Stop shooting. I want him to lay people in. Then obviously 2 assists and a goal. What can you say when he's done that in a Premier League game?
Outstanding.
Tyler, last but not least, Jürgen Strand Larsen. Now, I don't know if it's me. I don't know if you guys have picked up on this, but I feel that Strand Larsen seems to be. I've been quite physical against Romero. I thought it was really good. I think against. I mean, it's not too difficult against the Leicester centre backs, but I felt like he won a lot of headers. And I think he was doing a lot. He was a lot more effective of holding it and spreading the ball. And I think he's done that in the game against Spurs and the game against Leicester. But we don't see that so much away from home. Is that something you've picked up on, or is that just a coincidence?
Certainly yesterday, yeah, I agree. I thought he was enjoying the tussle and was physical, but like you said, you're talking about face and Conor Coady, aren't you? So you've got to take it in with a bit of a pinch of salt, but. I enjoyed his performance. You know, like we said, he still seems to split people's opinion, doesn't he? And that's not to say anyone's negative on him. I think he seems to be such a nice, friendly guy that you probably just want him to be a bit horrible, don't you? You just want to see a bit of a nasty streak from him. I mean, he's missed that chance and he's laughing about it because he scored 5 minutes later, and that's brilliant.
With a harder finish, yeah.
In another game, he doesn't get the chance and we lose. And I suppose that's the difference, isn't it? Just being that ruthless, clinical, horrible centre-forward. But I think as we touched upon, if he had all of those attributes, he probably wouldn't be playing for us. He'd be playing for someone else because he's got all of the ability, all of the personality that you'd want. And his numbers are great, aren't they, for a team, again, that's been bang average, stroke crap for most of the season. He's one with Agbadou, Andre Gomez, that I'd be looking to build the team around next season. I think he's got a lot to offer. And if you can get 2 players either side of him that can engage him and get
The
him involved
butterflies.
even more. Who knows? But I like him. I'd like to see another striker signed. I'd like to see some competition for him. I'd like to see a bit of a rocket up his backside.
I'd like a different option for someone that in later in games with pace, like Hwang, but better. Someone that when Strand Larsen's done the bullying late in the game, someone you can put a through ball in behind, because we don't really have that kind of player other than our left wing back Rodrigo that put the turbos on. But you want your forwards to be doing that as well. He
makes the right runs, he makes the right movement, and he fully deserved his goal. So 8 out of 10, I thought he did well.
This is episode 129 of the Wolves Report with Mark, not Chris, Tyler, and myself, Ryan Leicester. As always, we do this show live to get your interactions. We really appreciate them. We can't publish them all because they're not all appropriate, but we do laugh at them. And it is a big part of the show and why we do it live. Let's move on to your questions that I put out and asked for on X. We'll get through as many as we can before Nocky's bedtime. Let's start off one. We'll start a little bit of controversy that I think we have talked about on the group chat. Hi guys, would you take Coady back on a free transfer next season? Now, let me start this off. This may take the show past the.
We've only got 10 minutes left, Ryan, so be quick.
So now, I was really pleased that Conor Coady got that reception yesterday. How the transfer of him departing, I don't think he deserved to be treated that way. As Tyler often reminds me, he is the most successful captain of Wolves in our lifetime. He's been a tremendous ambassador for the club. He was a magnificent sweeper under Nuno. And that was a special moment. We're like when Raul come back. Players of that era deserve that acknowledgement, and I'm chuffed that he did. But does that mean I want him to come back? I'm not sure it is for me. Now, obviously, I want Tyler and Nocky's answer on this as well.
Stop sitting on the fence. Tell us what you say on the group.
So I can't say that. He... Great bloke, great captain. I think he's a very poor defender. He played in the back 2, and Strand Larsen didn't even have to try, just nudged him out the way every time. Would he be a good guy to have around? Probably, but he's got a year left in his contract. He's on huge wages at Leicester. I don't think he's a better defender than Santi. I think if he comes back, it's romantic and nothing else. I don't think it's for footballing reasons. You guys might think differently.
Nothing wrong with a bit of romance.
Yeah, we know about those conversations you have as well. Nocky, I'll let Tyler compose himself. Your take on what Kev asks. Would you take Conor Coady back on a free transfer next season? Bearing in mind he's got a year left in his contract, so I'm not sure it would be on a free.
I don't think so. I mean, if you bring him back in a coaching role, if you bring him back
he's 31, 32, he can't be a coach then.
Yeah, I know. He doesn't play.
Coach, come on.
He doesn't play, does he? He's realistically, he might get the league.
£15 million centre back with someone that doesn't play either. Then
exactly. We've got the 3 in there now. You've got Santiago Bueno, you've got De Giga, you've got the other kid that we signed.
Have you got De Giga? Have you?
We've got the French kid that we signed as well. So don't
more
see how
chance
he
of me
plays.
playing for Wolves than that French kid, son.
Well, you never know, do you? But I don't think Coady gets anywhere near the team. I think it's a pretty pointless signing if he comes in. He probably plays in the Championship for Leicester, or gets a move in the Championship. He's not at the level we need, unfortunately. Great ambassador for the club. Seems like a fantastic human being, but in terms of playing for Wolves, no, not for me.
Tyler, the floor is yours.
Ultimately, I'll trust whatever Pereira thinks. If Pereira thinks he's the right person to have around the place, I'll back him if he doesn't.
Son, you said earlier we're here to give opinions. That's not an opinion. That's getting splinters up your backside.
If you said to me Craig Dawson leaves and Conor Coady signs, I'd 100% say yes to it. 100%.
For what reason?
He's a homegrown player. I think we'll get him cheap. I know Ryan says he's on money at the moment. He'd be our fifth or sixth choice centre half, and he's just a good character around the place. I don't see how. It's a no-brainer for me. It's an absolute.
Yeah, the only issues I've got is, and
there are no issues.
This is my opinion. He's been a bit part player at Leicester. He didn't play in the promoted side hardly ever. He's only come into the. He's only come into the side recently, and yesterday he wasn't very good. It was easy for Strand Larsen just to budge him out the way. Now, if Wolves were playing with a back 5 where they were counter-attacking under Nuno, it'd be a different conversation. But now, as we're a measured, high-pressing team with energy getting up, I just don't see where he fits in. And, you talk about Nasser Dajiga, yeah, he's not ready, but equally, he's our future, not someone that had a fantastic time at Wolves. I think it's a step backwards. I think it's romantic. It's just not for me. If he comes, you know what? I will back him, and I hope he does well, and I hope I eat my words. I just think it's the wrong move for Wolves. And I also think Conor Coady at that age should really be targeting getting regular football and enjoying the rest of his career, not being a sub at Wolves.
Do you think he'll want to come back, knowing that he wouldn't play for Wolves?
100%.
It was done and dusted for him to come back if Dawson had gone.
Oh, mate, he was desperate to come back in January. Desperate to come back, but Leicester didn't want Dawson.
But there's still some sources saying out there, I don't know if they're trustworthy or not, that it's done and dusted for the summer that he signs.
Interesting. Great bloke to have around. And you know what? That side of it is absolutely true. But that's a hell of a lot of money. And I don't want him to be putting out one of our young players, down the pecking order when we've invested in them. So they should be getting minutes in the cup games, not an older player who's romantic. Like Dajiga, he should be playing. He shouldn't be going out at the expense of...
He's obviously signed for, but you don't fancy him, does he?
No, but what's... I'm not having Conor Coady over Dajiga, mate.
You're not having Conor Coady because you know about his history. You're all about giving Dajiga a chance, but let's we've never seen him play.
Okay, you
can't quote how good or bad he is, and he's cost us 15 million quid.
Okay, so here's a question for you. All right, let's say Conor Coady had never played for Wolves, and you watched that game yesterday, and you're scouting Leicester City. There isn't a chance that one single player in that stadium says, "Oh, I like that number 4 for Leicester." Nocky, I like that number 4 for Leicester. I think we'll sign him for Wolves next year. Not a single person.
We'll have to increase the homegrown quota as well.
Yeah, but not a single person. Are you telling me one person would have watched his performance yesterday and thought he'll do as a squad player for us?
No, but if Tommy Doyle goes and probably one of King or Bentley goes, it's a free transfer to get your homegrown quota up, and we're well short on that as well. I wouldn't be surprised at all if he signs for Wolves. I'm not saying signing him is the best thing he walks into the team, but I just see it that it seems to make sense.
No, I can see it happening, but I don't think it should. Is my opinion on it. I can see him coming back in. I think your point on Dajiga, I think he was brought in to develop. They've seen a little bit of a player there that they think could develop. They brought him in for pretty cheap money, similar than we've done with other players. And you'll probably see him getting more of a look next season. Yeah, I know, but that's not a lot of money, though, is it? Not for Premier League football. So if he can develop over the next season or two, then he comes.
Man, you paid 70 for Casemiro, son, and 80 for Maguire, so it's pennies in comparison.
Well, there you go. But I agree. I think Coady could well come back to the side, but
yeah, I agree.
I don't think you'll see him play if he does.
Yeah, I don't. It just doesn't feel right. It feels more romantic because, as I said, if yesterday was the first time he played against Wolves and he had no history, there's not a chance in hell you're signing him. But you know what? If he does and Conor comes back, good luck to him. I hope he smashes it.
Kev's absolutely butchered the show because we've spent 7 minutes on that question. So he's totally writ it off.
I think we need to do an hour, Kev. We'll put a show on it, Kev, full hour.
Kev, thank you for creating debate and upsetting everyone here. Let's fire out a few more questions before we end the show. Paul says, should Wolves tie down Vieport on a longer deal? Guys, this is the biggest no-brainer. If Gary O'Neill gets a deal after winning 3 minutes of a football match after losing to Coventry City between then and the end of the season, and he gets an extension, surely Vitor does. Whether it's an extra year on improved deals, because come June, he's only got 12 months left, and I'm not sure he's the kind of manager that ties down to long deals, but surely, even if it's just rewarding him and saying, thank you, we believe in you, would you like a new deal? It's a conversation that's got to happen, hasn't it?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? I mean, you'd be crazy not to offer him a new deal. He doesn't seem to like to stay around anywhere for too long, so maybe there's something in that, but I think it's a no-brainer that you go and offer him a new deal. He's won 6 on a spin, he's made history. We might not have been playing the greatest teams in the division, but how many teams this season have actually got a 6 in a row ratio? I think you sign him up without any question at all. But we also got to accept the fact there could be some people come knocking for him as well, because his stock's very high.
Wouldn't surprise me. Yeah, I think we're all on board, Paul. Let's get him on board. Let's fire another question out. Kevin asks, do you think we dodged a bullet not hiring Potter or Moyes? Now, Tyler, tell me what you think about Potter.
I think Potter's a fraud, but I'd have taken Harry Potter when we had Gary O'Neill in charge, to be honest. So I'd have had him in a heartbeat. I'd have had Ruud van Nistelrooy. I'd have had any more. I I like David Moyes. I think David Moyes
solid set of hands, knows what he's doing.
He's done a good job as well.
Big fan of Moyes. He's done a fairly similar job to what Pereira's done. Potter, I'm just not having him at the moment, and I think we have. Yeah, I think he talks himself up. He talks a great game, but the proof's in the pudding. They're 17th in the league for a reason, aren't they? So yeah, I like Moyes, but Potter, I don't get what all the fuss is about at the moment.
Well, let's do two more quick questions before we move on to Friday. This is an absolute stinker. Richard says, gun to your head, you can only keep one of Joe Gomez or Andre next season. Who are you choosing? One word answer only, boys. No explanation. Nocky?
Andre.
Gomez.
That's a horrible question.
Richard, you're a horrible man for asking that question.
Come on, Ryan, you get the win.
I haven't got time to answer that question. I've got
You'll have Dave Edwards.
Get through. Drew asked, by the way, Richard, thank you for being part of the show. Drew asked, Hwang is in the squad but doesn't get in the game. Doyle is out of the squad. Who is more likely to be on the team next season? Drew, I don't think either of those players will be at Molineux next season. I think Hwang had that purple patch. I'm disappointed they didn't cash in the 20 million. I know that was something that a lot of people debated. I think Wolves made a mistake there. I also think Hwang's the kind of bloke that I want to be playing football. He's not even getting sub appearances now. I think he'll be gone. Wolves probably get 10 million for him now. And I think Doyle probably Wolves make a little bit of profit on him because of the way the market is, maybe a newly promoted team. Would you say that's about right, guys? You expect probably those both to be gone in the summer?
Yeah, I think haven't City got a sell on Doyle as well?
50% of any of the profit we make.
So we ain't going to make a fat lot on him anyway. But I don't think he's good enough. Hwang has probably never been good enough. So, both go for me.
Tyler?
Yeah, full house. Totally agreed.
Good stuff. We're coming to the end of the episode now, episode 129. On Friday evening, Wolverhampton Wanderers travel to Manchester City, the hardest game we've had for quite some time. This will certainly be a test. But, Nocky, surely this isn't an impossible one, or is it?
I think it's 7 in a row.
Oh, my word.
I've got a sneaky. I've genuinely got a sneaky.
Oh, no.
I think that they've had an FA Cup game today.
Here comes Nocky Sneaky. Someone's even put it on there.
I mean, realistically, see, there's a man who knows his stuff. I think realistically, they should.
There's got to be a T-shirt with that on, hasn't there?
They're a top side with some top quality players, but I think we give anyone a game at the moment. And if we go there and we do get beat, as long as we're competitive and we're in it and we don't roll over, which I don't anticipate we do, then, fair play. They're a better side than us, aren't they? But I don't think they'll want to play us. If you could pick a team to play at the moment, you wouldn't pick Wolves. I think in midfield, I would definitely give them a game. We've got threats up front. And I think we've, at the back, we can, without Haaland, physically, we can dominate them. So,
physically dominate Man City.
I've got a little
conversation this podcast has taken a turn since December, guys. Good God.
I'll tell you, why not fancy it though? I mean, we've got nothing to play for. We've got nothing to lose at all. Go and give them a right good go.
Going to get walloped, aren't we, Tyler? This is going to get clipped and we're going to get smashed 6 or 7.
Probably, but let's go and have a go at them, kick a few of them in the air and let's see what lands.
That's the spirit. Tyler, looking at the team, surely it's unchanged, isn't it? I know Bellegarde's desperately unlucky, but you can't really change anyone. And I feel like in a game when you're going to have less of the ball, a Manetti kind of character, that's where you're going to particularly need him.
Oh, come on. Don't come in here and say we're going to particularly need Marshall Manetza. I mean, what's the world come to?
You are such a negative sausage.
Yeah, but the flip side to that argument is you won't create as much and you need players that can create something.
You mean like on Saturday?
Wow, Leicester home, City out. He's going to play. He's going to be the same team, no problem. But it wouldn't be surprised me if we were to get a result, if it's the people that come off the bench again that make it happen. I'm not with Nocky. I'm sorry. They're pushing for top 4. They're in the cup final. I mean, what planet is he on? Let's be honest. For me, it'll be a comfortable home win on a Friday night. But I like his optimism.
You mean like a comfortable win for Aston Villa against Crystal Palace, Tyler?
Yes, I do mean that. Yes, yeah.
How did that one finish, by the way?
I don't know, but my bank account certainly looks sweet.
Come on, lads, it's 10 o'clock. Come on, let's get wrapping it up.
Didn't like that one, did he, Nocky?
You know it was the best 50 quid I've ever spent, Ryan.
Wonderful stuff. Tyler, give me a prediction for Manchester City v Wolverhampton Wanderers.
3-0 City.
Oh dear, there's no need for that, is there? Steve Phipps with a lovely comment there. Thank you, Steve. Nocky, your prediction and first scorer, please.
First goal scorer is going to be Marshall Manetsu, 3-1. 3-1 to Wolves.
Now, I don't know what to say here, but Sean's really upset me because he's gone for it, hasn't he? And you know what, Sean? We're back in business. I'm going to go with Cunha 1-0. This has been episode 129 of the Wolves Report with Mark Knott, Chris Tyler, and myself, Ryan Leicester. 6 in a row. Ole, ole, ole. Up the Wolves.